Sup, yo? My name is John, and I'm the crazy guy who's trying to record my life story and put it on internet. Because I got literally nothing else to do. Just sit here by this window and by my sister's old laptop and just talk about myself uh, to this iPhone because I'm unemployed. I don't have any job. I don't have any money, and I'm just bored. So this is chapter 16 of my crazy life story. And in my previous recording, I was trying to explain where I was um, uh, at the time of the FBI raid when they caught illegal immigrants cleaning people at Walmart stores. Okay, so while I was traveling with the bad meat, with the rotten meat, my car broke down on the interstate, and my friend Roman had to come uh, pick me up, and so we pulled my car to a parking lot, and eventually I sold that car to a junkyard for $800, and then I ended up at one of the apartments, either in Waldorf, Maryland, or Salisbury, on that peninsula, and and I was trying to get a job because I didn't have any car, I didn't have much money, and you know basically I just started stripping, waxing floors, and then they moved me to another place where I was able to get a Kmart store, and then they moved me. So I was cleaning that Kmart store for a while, and then they moved me to another place to clean like a Target or Walmart or something. I don't really remember. It's a very long time ago. But I remember that one night I wasn't working. I was like in between jobs. My boss didn't really place me yet to some of the stores, and I was at home. And in the morning, uh, I got a phone call, or people came home and told me that I don't really remember all the details anymore. So somehow I was notified that I should pack my bag and get out of the apartment, and that's how I learned about the FBI raid. So here's what happened. Okay, on October 23rd of 2003, the FBI raided 60 Walmart stores across 21 U.S. states and arrested 250 illegal immigrants who were working on the cleaning crews. Uh, some of them were Mexicans, different nationalities, Russians, Hungarians, and lots of Czech people too. Okay, and my friend Roman was one of them who got arrested. So what they did, after I realized, that my friend Roman and his entire crew was arrested. After that, we learned how it all developed. Okay, so what happened? FBI agents approached individually every single person on that cleaning crew at the exact same time, in all the stores, uh, at the exact same time, so nobody could like run away, or they couldn't notify the other people about it. And so they did it was very organized event, and they arrested everybody. Nobody could run away, and they had vans outside the store ready, and there was like they had like maybe 10 or something like that, something like that, about 7 to 10 agents per store. Okay, so this was really big thing, and it was in the news, in newspapers. It was on TV, and it was everywhere. And since that night, actually, Walmart, some of the WalMarts stopped hiring, contractors for cleaning their stores, and they started doing their stores by themselves, and so my friend Roman got locked up. So what happened? We had to like pack our bags, get out of the apartment, because we had instructions from our boss to get out of the apartment, because FBI is arresting everybody, and so they don't come, because they were investigating, uh, interrogating everybody, and we were all scared that they might be talking like where we live, gave them our addresses, so we had to pack, and so we don't get arrested too. And then we drove to another apartment where the other crew that was arrested lived, and of course they were not at home, so we just gathered like their personal belongings and loaded in the car. I don't really remember all the details, but it happened something like that. And then we heard from the guys who got arrested. They were put in detention, interrogated. They had to gave up their passports, and they got paperwork that they have to leave the country at a certain date, and this is what followed. So after 24 hours, they released the guys, and I was taking them because my friend Roman was on that crew, and he couldn't drive the car anymore. The Dodge Stratus, he couldn't drive the car, so I was the one who started driving his car and picking up all them people from the jail, from the detention, because they were released like individually. So I would be going like to it wasn't in Philadelphia, it was in somewhere in rural area. I don't remember. I don't really remember where the jail was, but I picked up 5 guys, and then I had to drive them individually to Philadelphia immigration headquarters. They had to get a plane ticket home, and they had to take the ticket and go. They had to schedule like for an appointment and go to Philadelphia immigration office, show them the ticket, and then they gave them to sign paperwork like they have to deport, they have to go home, and they gave them back their passports. Okay, so I did this trip like 4 or 5 times to Philadelphia, to the jail, and then to the airport. Okay, so I was like driving the guys, so they could get this taken care of, and fly it back home to Czech Republic. Okay, and after I drove, after everybody left, including Roman, I actually inherited his car. So suddenly, after a couple months, I had another car, free car. I had a little bit of money. I had maybe like $1,000. But funny thing was, I never got paid for all that work over there. The boss, like I mentioned it on my previous video, that boss still owes me like $2,700, till this day. But it's all forgotten. I know it's I'm never gonna see that money, and and I inherited his car. So after that, like all of us were trying to find another job, and there are like websites offering jobs, illegal jobs in the United States for Czech people. There's a couple of web pages where we were looking for a job, and I found me a job as a security guard at a Holiday Inn resort uh, on Key Largo. Okay, down to Florida Keys, Key Largo. Okay, but before I went there, we uh, we stayed. Before while all this was happening, while I was driving the guys, we were staying at a house with some guy, and I don't know how these people knew this guy. And there was about, I don't know, 5 or 6 of us, and this guy, he was like a Czech guy, like really old guy in his, I don't know, 60s, 70s. He was like a dissident, or KGB, or some special agent. I don't know who that guy was, but he was some kind of undercover, retired agent, and he lived in Philadelphia, or was it Pittsburgh? No, it was Philadelphia. Yeah, it was Philadelphia. Uh, and he let us sleep in the basement for a couple of nights. Like all of us, all of the guys, they were in trouble, and me. And he let us sleep there for a couple of nights. And they were, I mean, we were drinking like every night, getting wasted, and the guy was talking all kinds of crap, and I really don't know how they knew this guy. And he was showing us some pictures with Czech president Václav Havel, and some other pictures with some other politicians, and with the people from Charta 77. So I knew he was kind of important person, but I couldn't really place him, and he was kind of like a mysterious guy. But anyway, he let us sleep there, and after everybody was gone to back to Czech Republic, I was the last person who was leaving his house, and I remember he had a son, and his son had a brand new Honda S2000, the convertible, and I took a picture with it. I'm gonna post it, one day when I get hands on all my pictures. So after that, I left Philadelphia and I drove all the way to Key Largo, to my new job. Okay, and I remember it was like really long trip, and I was really speeding, on the interstate. I was going 100 or even 110 miles an hour, and I was so lucky I didn't get caught. I didn't get pulled over. So when I arrived at Key Largo, I was really tired, because I was driving like, I don't know, 15 hours straight or something like that. And when I got there, they put me to another house. Okay, or it was like an apartment in a house, and all the houses down there are like on the stilts, and I met another group of people, Czech people mostly, and there was some girl from Uzbekistan, and all right, so I met another people, and I started working at a Holiday Inn as a security guard. Okay, I got pictures from that too, to support my to back up my story. And what I was doing, it was also a night job, but I didn't wanna clean the stores anymore. I didn't wanna make money as a janitor anymore, because I really had enough of that. So I wanted to do something else. So I was trying to find me another job. Okay, and I don't know for what reason I didn't return to my meat business. if I should call it like that. I don't know, for some reasons I didn't continue dealing my meat, but I went to Florida, okay, all the way down south, hot weather. It was already like autumn, cold in Philadelphia, and it was hot in Florida. So what I was doing as a security guard, I was working with another guy's Danek, and he was like teaching me, what I'm supposed to be doing, and we would be just driving the golf cart around the resort, and like after 10 o'clock p.m. we would like kick out everybody out of pool and jacuzzi and like all the public areas like the gym and stuff like that, and then we would be like driving around the resort and making sure that nobody is like drinking or making noise or stuff like that. And after like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., everything was quiet, and we had absolutely nothing to do. So what I was doing, I was actually going in the basement, and I was actually working out in the gym for free, in that resort. But this was only 3 days. Okay, what happened after 3 days when I was working there? One of the people that were also working at the hotels, there was a bunch of people, working at hotels like cooks and housekeeping and bus people, bus boys, waitresses, lots of people was there, but I didn't know all of them. I only knew the people that I was living with. And what happened one night, that one of the cooks that was cooking at another place was going home on the roadside, and he was drunk, so he was like zigzagging, and he got stopped by a cop, and he got arrested. Okay, and of course he was they found out that he was working there illegally and all that. So again, we got a call from our boss that we have to pack up and leave the apartment and just get lost, so we don't get caught. Man, I was already used to it. So I just packed my stuff, and then I actually called the guy, Brett Breta, who I first met in Villa Rica that year. So I actually called him because he went working construction in Florida, like Fort Lauderdale area, Miami, Hollywood, Pompano Beach. So he was working there, on construction. So I called him, and he helped me to get a job at a construction, okay, over there in that area. So this is kind of funny story because in the beginning when I met this guy, he was like really slow and lazy, and I fired him. Then his girlfriend told the boss that she wants him back, so he came back. Then he found another job. We didn't really get along. Then he helped me to get a job at a Kroger store. Then he left to Florida, and now I called him again, and he helped me to get another job, at a construction. So this is kind of funny story that a guy that I initially, fired from a job helped me actually twice to get another job. Okay, so thank you. Well, actually, later on, like in very far future, he actually was arrested, and he spent, he spent years in jail because he was actually on a run from the law from Czech Republic, because he did some I can't find English words for that. I'll look it up later, and I'll be talking about it later anyway. So he got actually arrested in the future and then deported to Czech Republic. So I don't really know where he is right now. But anyway, so we left Key Largo, and actually while I was at Key Largo, those 3 days or just a few days, I actually made one trip to Key West with that Uzbekistan girl, or wherever she was from. So we made one trip down there, and I took some pictures too. And then then we left, and I moved in with a couple of guys who worked at a construction doing the steel framing um, in Fort Lauderdale. Okay, so, and I brought with me another guy. This guy is Denek. Okay, he came with me. So we started working construction as a steel framing, and I knew this because I've done it before in Czech. Before I even started my fitness center, before I opened my gym, and before I was doing, when I was really young, when I was like 18, 19 years old, I was doing in Czech Republic steel framing and hanging sheetrock, because I couldn't find a job in my profession, because I was electrician with computers, but I never actually worked in that field. So I started working, construction jobs. So one of my first jobs was steel framing. So that's what I was doing in Florida. So my first gig was in Naples. So we actually was driving, from Fort Lauderdale to Naples. We were staying there at the motel during the week, and then on the weekend we would come back to Fort Lauderdale. Well, all this time I was actually in touch with that girl that I met online months ago. So after 10 months, I was, chatting with her, and we spent, hours on the phone, and we would be chatting on over the ICQ or emails. She would be sending me pictures and videos of herself, and I was sending her videos and pictures, and I got all these videos and pictures saved up. And so after 10 months of texting and calling back and forth, I've decided I'm going to visit this girl to Slovakia. And it was winter. Okay, it was in winter. I think it was like before Christmas, or it was like between Christmas and New Year's, I think. I don't really remember, but it was somewhere around there. And one day I've decided I'm gonna fly home and meet this girl. And I didn't really have any plans whatsoever if I wanna stay in Europe or if I wanna go back to America. I don't know. I didn't have any money. I had like maybe $1,000. I had a car that I inherited from Roman. I was driving, all these people because I was like one of very few people, Czech and Slovak and etc., in Fort Lauderdale who were working the construction. I was like one of the few people that had a car there, because all these people, they were like any money, all the money that they made, they would spend in pubs, drinking alcohol. They would be spending all the money on playing, gambling and stuff like that. So I was like driving all these people back and forth to work, uh, and I made a little bit of money. And like couple weeks in, while I was working in Naples, I've decided I'm gonna go visit that girl. So, when I bought the ticket, I had like $500 left. That was it, and I had a few $1,000s left in my account in Czech Republic. Okay, so I got on the plane, and I flew over to Prague, and then another plane from Prague to Bratislava, and then I met this girl at the airport. Okay, I brought her some gift from where I brought her like a Nike sweat pants, and and she gave me something too. I don't remember what it was. And then I used the money that I had in Czech Republic, and I got a rental car for 2 or 3 weeks. I got a rental car, and I would drive with her to her parents' house, okay, in Zlaté Moravce, okay. And at the airport, it didn't go. I mean, the first meetup when I first saw her and she saw me, it didn't go quite as well. I don't really remember. I don't really understand till this day what her intentions were or whatever. But in person, me personally, I didn't like her too much. Like she was like really skinny. She was maybe like 90 pounds, and she had really big head. But she wasn't really ugly, and but she was kind of pretty girl, but really skinny, and she had like kind of damaged skin everywhere. She had kind of bad skin, and but anyway, see, I'm the kind of personality that doesn't really look. I mean, the looks of the person I like are not that important for me. For me, the important thing was that we really got along. We had always something to talk about, and I really like talking to her and stuff. In Slovakian language. And we had a lot of fun together while we were talking, and then it didn't go well. We went to her parents' house, and she told me to put the rental car in the garage, and I didn't know why. And then later on I realized she has some other people, like some other guys she was texting on the phone all the time, and she didn't want them guys or whoever she was dating, that she didn't want them to see my car parked in front of her house. So we put uh, the rental car in the garage, and his father car stayed parked outside in the snow, in the blizzard. And for me, actually, uh, it was 4 years that I haven't seen any snow. So after 4 years, I actually saw snow, and of course in Slovakia, there's like lots of snow in winter. In winter, uh, so what we did, we planned. I mean, we never had sex. You know, uh, she only gave me like a blow job, and it was like really ridiculous. I mean, we took some pictures together. We were like uh, taking walks around town, and she was like really crazy. She would go to a trash can, like for a big trash can, like a dumpster. She would go to the dumpster, and she would like jump in a dumpster and pick up stuff out of dumpster. I don't know. She was trying to be funny or whatever, but she was ridiculous. She was doing stupid stuff. Like I didn't understand what is she doing. So and there was a couple more moments like this. uh, I don't know. She was probably trying to get the most out of her life or whatever, but she was like really weird. I realized she was like really weird person. And but anyway, we never had sex, and then we went to we went skiing, okay, in Nízké Tatry, okay. We went skiing, and we took a hotel for a few nights, and and I was thinking, maybe this time we're gonna I get laid, but I didn't get laid. And she pretended she's on her periods. She put a lipstick on the sheets on the bed. She put a lipstick on it, and she was pretending like it's blood. So she was faking her period, so I don't so she doesn't have to fuck with me. But anyway, we went skiing, and every time I wanted to take a picture with her, she would be like covering her face with scarf, and a cap. So I could only see her eyes, so she would never take a pictures with me. So probably her. I mean, she had another guys, she was probably dating or texting or whatever. I don't know. She was kind of whore, I guess. And the worst whore is the one that fucks everybody except you. So so she was this kind of girl. Anyway, and so I spent a week with her in Slovakia, and then she was like, okay, now you can go visit your family and then come back. You know, she basically kicked me out, and you know, I spent the week, you know, at the skiing resort and at her house, and I met her parents. They you know, they gave me food, Slovakian traditional food to eat. You know, so they were like really hospitable people. You know, so I ate a lot and drank, and I met her brother, and and she told me that his father built this house all by himself, and you know, stuff like that. And after a week or so, or maybe a little over a week, I left. She kicked me out. That I can go like visit my family, because I didn't notify my family I was coming, so nobody knew I was there. Okay, so I went here in Havířov that time, like after the New Year's Eve, 2004, in January, beginning of January. I went here visit my family. Okay, and that's what I'm gonna be talking about uh, on my next in my next chapter.